revulsion towards the body, revulsion towards the mind. Experiencing revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge it is liberated. He understands, destroyed his birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. That's the end of the sutta. You see this, the teaching of the Buddha here, that because the sense organs are impermanent. In other words, this that we take to be the self is impermanent, and because it is impermanent, it is a source of suffering, and because it is a source of suffering, it is not fit to regard it as I or mine. So this kind of instruction, this is the core of the essence of the Dhamma is basically this. So this kind of teaching you find in several suttas. When the Buddha taught this to several of his disciples who had already attained the fourth jhana, just listening to this, they attained liberation. They became arahant. But for most of us, when we listen to this sutta, we understand a bit, but we don't, because we don't see it so clearly, because of the hindrances in us, so we don't become arahant. Actually, the point of this sutta is that this that we take to be the self, our body and our mind, is impermanent. And this impermanence, because we don't contemplate much on it, we don't think. But if we think actually that one day this body will grow old, will become ugly, will die, become sick and die. So if it's going to die one day, why you cling on to it? If you cling on to it, it will give you suffering. That's not. So the faster we let go of it, the faster we don't suffer so much. Later you see in one of the suttas, the Buddha says contemplation of this impermanence is very important. If we keep contemplating impermanence, then we'll see the real nature of the world and the real nature of our body and mind. 18.21 at Savatthi. Then the Venerable Rahula approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side and said, this is one of the suttas that are repeated. It is also found in the Anguttara Nikaya 3.32 and also in the Samyutta Nikaya in another place, Sutta 22.71 and 22.76. Venerable Sir, how should one know, how should one see, so that in regard to this body with consciousness and in regard to all external signs, I-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendency to conceit no longer occurs within? Stop here for a moment. So here Venerable Rahula is asking the Buddha, how should we contemplate so that we can get rid of this conceit, this tendency to think that I am, I exist. Once you have the I, then you have the mind, my family, my relations and all that. So this if you can really see clearly this, then you can attain liberation. Then the Buddha said, any kind of form whatsoever, Rahula, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, one sees all forms as it really is with correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Similarly, any kind of feeling whatsoever, any kind of perception, any kind of volition, any kind of consciousness whatsoever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, One sees all of these aggregates as it really is with correct wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one knows and sees thus, Rahula, then in regard to this body with consciousness and in regard to all external signs, I-making, mind-making and the underlying tendency to conceit no longer occurs within. That's the end of the sutta. So this sutta is concerned with the 5 aggregates. That's why this sutta is repeated in the Samyutta about the 5 aggregates. So the Buddha is saying that these 5 aggregates are basically the body and the mind. We should see clearly that they are impermanent. Because they are impermanent, they are a source of suffering. And because they are a source of suffering, we should not take it to be I or mine. So for this Rahula Samyutta, I am only reading these 2 suttas. Now we come to Samyutta number 19. Lakkhana Samyutta. Lakkhana is a monk. His discourses concern questions that he asked. 19.1. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, the Venerable Lakkhana and the Venerable Mahamoggallana were dwelling on Mount Vulture Peak. Then in the morning, the Venerable Mahamoggallana dressed, and taking bowl and robe, he approached the Venerable Lakkhana and said to him, "Come, friend Lakkhana, let us enter Rajagaha for alms." So they wanted to go on Pindabat, alms round. "All right, friend," the Venerable Lakkhana replied. Then as he was coming down from Mount Vulture Peak, the Venerable Mahamoggallana displayed a smile in a certain place. The Venerable Lakkhana said to him, "For what reason, friend Moggallana, did you display a smile?" "This is not the time for that question, friend Lakkhana. Ask me that question when we are in the presence of the Blessed One." Stop here for a moment. So the 2 monks, they were walking down the hill to go on alms round very early in the morning. Then Venerable Mahamoggallana, because he got psychic power, he saw some spirit. And then when he contemplated the spirit, usually it was a ghost. Then he smiled. And then Venerable Lakkhana asked him, because Venerable Lakkhana probably didn't have the psychic power to see. So Venerable Lakkhana asked him, "Why did you smile?" He said, "Wait until later, you ask me in front of the Buddha." Then when the Venerable Lakkhana and the Venerable Mahamoggallana had walked for alms in Rajagaha and returned from their alms round, after their meal they approached the Blessed One. Having paid homage to the Blessed One, they sat down to one side, and the Venerable Lakkhana said to the Venerable Mahamoggallana, "Here, as he was coming down from Mount Vulture Peak, the Venerable Mahamoggallana displayed a smile in a certain place. For what reason, friend Moggallana, did you display that smile?" And the Venerable Mahamoggallana said, "Here, friend, as I was coming down from Mount Vulture Peak, I saw a skeleton moving through the air. Vultures, crows and hawks, following it in hot pursuit, were pecking at it between the ribs, stabbing it and tearing it apart, while it uttered cries of pain. It occurred to me, it is wonderful indeed, it is amazing indeed that there could be such a being, that there could be such a spirit, that there could be such a form of individual existence." Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, there are disciples who dwell having become vision, having become knowledge, in that a disciple can know, see and witness such a sight. In the past, monks, I too saw that being, but I did not speak about it. For if I had spoken about it, others would not have believed me. And if they had not believed me, that would have led to their harm and suffering for a long time. That being, monks, used to be a cattle butcher in this same Rajagaha, having been tormented in hell for many years, for many hundreds of years, for many thousands of years, for many hundreds of thousands of years, as a result of that karma. As a residual result of that same karma, he is experiencing such a form of individual existence. It's the end of the sutta. So here, Venerable Mahamoggallana saw a ghost with a skeleton body flying through the air, and these vultures and crows and hawks were chasing it and pecking at it, and he was crying and flying and crying and flying and crying. So the Buddha said he used to be a cattle butcher. He used to slaughter cows. So after that he went to hell for a long time, and after coming out of hell, he's still suffering as a ghost. Then all the other suttas in this Samyutta follow the same pattern. And only thing is the different things that Venerable Mahamoggallana saw. So the second sutta, he said, after being asked, he said, "Here, friend, as I was coming down from Mount Vulture Peak, I saw a piece of meat moving through the air. Vultures, crows, and hawks, following it in hot pursuit, were stabbing at it and tearing it apart as it uttered cries of pain." And the Buddha said, "That being, monks, was a cattle butcher in this same Rajagaha." So this second one, he was also a cattle butcher, but instead of being a ghost with a skeleton, he was a ghost full of meat. Maybe the first guy was always cutting the meat off the skeleton, so he was always thinking of the skeleton, so he was born as a skeleton. This one was always chopping the meat. And the third sutta also saw a lump of meat, and the Buddha said, "That being was a poultry butcher in this same Rajagaha. He used to slaughter chickens." The fourth one, I saw a flayed man. The flayed man means a ghost with all the skin removed. That being was a sheep butcher in the same Rajagaha. The fifth sutta, I saw a man with body hairs of swords moving through the air. Those swords kept on rising up and striking his body while he uttered cries of pain. And the Buddha said, that being was a hawk butcher in the same Rajagaha. He used to slaughter pigs. The sixth sutta, I saw a man with body hairs of spears moving through the air. Those spears kept on rising up and striking his body while he uttered cries of pain. And the Buddha said, that being was a deer hunter in this same Rajagaha. The seventh sutta, I saw a man with body hairs of arrows moving through the air. Those arrows kept on rising up and striking his body while he uttered cries of pain. And the Buddha said, that being was a torturer in this same Rajagaha. That means he worked for the king. So when any criminal was to be tortured, he used to torture people. So now he is in pain. The eighth sutta, I saw a man with body hairs of needles moving through the air. Those needles kept on rising up and striking his body while he uttered cries of pain. And the Buddha said, that being was a horse trainer in the same Rajagaha. You see, when they train horses, they have to beat the horses, they have to poke the horses, so make the horses suffer, to discipline the horse, make the horse got to do what the trainer wants him to do. And usually a new horse is very stubborn, so they have to poke and all that. The ninth sutta, I saw a man with body hairs of needles moving through the air. Those needles entered his head and came out from his mouth. They entered his mouth and came out from his chest. They entered his chest and came out from his belly. They entered his belly and came out from his thighs. They entered his thighs and came out from his calves. They entered his calves and came out from his feet while he uttered cries of pain. And the Buddha said, that being was a slanderer in the same Rajagaha. It's quite amazing, because see how much a person who slanders other people, talk bad about other people, and then you create a lot of harm to that person. Even for monks, sometimes some lay people, they don't like a particular monk. They will talk bad about that monk, and then it goes around, and then so it does a lot of harm to his reputation. So this person, he was this type